Welcome back to In Season. I'm Kendra Court. I'm here with my mom,
Susan Garrett-Schuster.
And today's episode is about renewal. We're officially in spring, early spring, and there's this strange sort of tender feeling that comes with when something's stirring inside us, but we don't have proof of it yet. And I think that's sort of where we are right now before everything starts to officially bloom and start to perk its way or pop its way through the surface. We're in this very early spring stage. And in our culture, we talk a lot about these big leaps and big pivots or big decisive action. But what if the most courageous thing was to start with a small, imperfect step? And so today we're exploring that, what it really takes to start something, to start messy, to start imperfect, to start afraid. And, why perhaps us late bloomers are getting it right because we're starting later. I don't know. But if you've been waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel ready, and you're waiting for that fear to go away, this episode is for you. So let's get started.
Okay.
So, first question, Mamacita, what does March, this in particular, I mean, there's still some snow on the ground, nothing's really popped up yet. So, what does March feel like for you? Like, what does it feel like in your body? What?
Well, in my body, I'm noticing that I've hibernated for 2 or 3 months and added a few pounds around the middle.
Yes. Hibernation will do that too.
Hibernation, big sweaters, big jackets, they hide a multitude. So what I was noticing was going to look for some lighter clothing and trying things on and not liking it very much. So that's one feeling.
Yes.
But the other feeling I always have in March is excitement because, as you know, the cottage is sitting frozen up in Haliburton, and we are an island property, so we always have ice issues to contend with, to get over. And March represents for me that sudden feeling that, oh, it's only a couple more weeks until the ice starts to break up.
Nice.
And we can get the boat out and we can get over to the island. And so March is always just been that feeling of the new beginning again, the new season, out of the routine into something new and fresh, and an opportunity to eat lighter.
Yes, eating lighter. Is there anything that you've been quietly thinking about beginning? I know we spoke last time about you've started a newish role. You've come out of retirement and starting working again, but it doesn't have to be work related. But is there anything you've been quietly thinking about beginning?
Yeah, a couple of things actually. As we know, we've both written a book, and my desire is to get my book on Audible, and so I'm percolating that in my head, because I have the opportunity to be the narrator if I want to.
Yeah.
And I really like that opportunity, and I'd like to do it. So that's kind of in the back of my mind.
Nice. I like that. And like when we're talking about the season of spring, it doesn't explode, overnight, right? We see sort of this gradual thaw, certainly in North America or in Canada where we are, where you have 4 distinct seasons. We're coming into this season where there's the gradual thaw of the ground, right? The snow's melting. These tender shoots start to poke their way, through the earth. The weather is uncertain. Like, our son wore a hoodie yesterday to school, but today he's in a full winter coat again, you know? So the weather is uncertain, fits and starts that way. And I think our reinventions and our new beginnings follow they work the same way. Wouldn't you say that the spring energy is certainly expansive, but it's not urgent?
Yeah. It feels like, you know, is it warm? No, it's not. Are we growing? No, we're not.
Yes.
Are we melting? No, we're not. But I did see daffodils about 2 inches up in the garden.
Okay.
And some other fresh shoots that I can't identify, probably weeds.
Maybe a crocus.
Maybe a crocus, but I don't remember planting those, so maybe not.
But I like this idea of nature. Like in nature, growth is a bit messy and uneven.
Yeah.
Right? Like to your point just now, it's fits and starts, right? There's some thaw and then there's more snow and then we're kind of getting into it and then we're right and that's normal in nature. But I think in life it is, but I don't know that we give ourselves permission for it to be that way. Is that fair?
You mean we want it to be full bore or nothing?
Yeah, or we want it to be linear, or we want it to follow an arc or a trajectory or something, versus this idea in nature of it being kind of fits and starts, or like does that? I don't know.
Well, I think it matches our humanity really, because we aren't all one thing or another.
Mm-hmm.
We're always straddling, we're always bridging, we're always, am I this or am I that? Landing on something different, not liking it, starting something else. I just think that's humanity. That's how we are.
Yeah.
And it maybe will never be any different,
Well, and to this point about humanity, I think there's this idea around our identity too. So if we're trying to embody the new identity, right? You don't just do that in one foul swoop. I was actually just talking to a client who's she sort of got unstuck and now she's kind of back stuck again. And what we determined is that there's a belief system that hasn't yet caught up with the new self or the new identity.
Right.
And so it's almost like it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back or something, but she's feeling stuck again. And what we dug down into was the belief isn't yet there of the new identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's this identity shift. I think there's this other idea of courage too, that nature doesn't need courage because it just is, right? The daffodils are going to bloom, the tulips are going to grow, like
it's their destiny.
It's their destiny. Like it's just going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But I think for humans, there's this element of courage that's necessary. And I think fear is one of the biggest stumbling blocks, at least in my work.
Absolutely. I think in anybody.
Where I'm trying to help people change careers or make these pivots. And, fear can keep us stuck, certainly. It holds us back, from our destiny often. But it's not the absence of fear, right? Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's really doing the thing anyway, or feeling it, right? Having that willingness to feel it and move anyway, or do it anyway.
I'd like to offer another perspective to that
Okay.
too, because I think an element of faith and belief comes in terms of, if I trust and I believe that my trajectory is going to land where I want it to land, or
Mm.
if I'm going to be safe, or if I'm going to be rewarded in some fashion by my efforts,
Mm-hmm.
then if I have that faith and I have that belief, I just keep walking forward. I don't know if it takes courage to do that. I think it's just trust and belief
Mm.
in my ability or my outcome,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's landing on me. I think the other nuance to that is if it is just one small step,
Yeah,
that doesn't take a ton of courage, maybe,
yeah, yeah,
right? Because if the big leap might feel like a heavier lift or a heavier,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That might take way more courage or
yeah,
bravery.
yeah. I often watch Lily, you know, our pup, who is now almost 4 years old, so she's not really a pup. But Lily always believes, she doesn't have ever have any doubt. She knows every day she's going to get her food. She knows every day she's going to go for a run. At 4 o'clock, she sits at the top of the stairs and she cries, and we are demanded to go for a walk. And she has this trust, this belief that she'll get her food, she'll go for her run, people will throw things that she can bring back, and she's happy all the time. Her tail is wagging all the time because she believes in her destiny, in her needs being met, and she
Right.
never doubts it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. She always believes she'll get what she wants.
Yeah. And that's a hard one, I think, for us humans to embody, like to really believe that you're going to get everything you want.
Yeah. I laughed last night because your Isaac came over for a visit. And the kids always know in our downstairs fridge in the freezer that we always have treats in the freezer. Every time. We always have something in there. And lately it's been drumsticks. Ice cream drumsticks. Well, I'm married to a guy who is a sweet tooth. So, like, you know what happens to the drumsticks. So last night Isaac went down to the freezer. He said, Nanny, I'm going to go get a drumstick. I said, okay. Came back up and he goes, there wasn't any in there. I said, well, I guess Opa ate the last one. But he fully believed in receiving that drumstick.
Yeah.
So there was no doubt in his mind that he was going to have something till Opa ate the last one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So with new beginnings, right? Spring, new beginnings. So if you're embarking on something new, like for you, it's your Audible book. For others out there, it might be a career change. It might be a relationship change. It might be a big move. But there's always sort of new beginnings, right? And what do we expect of new beginnings? Like, what do we expect them to feel like? I mean, I know for me, when I think about big moves or I think about new jobs, certainly because I was the zigzagger in my career, like, oh, that didn't fit and that didn't fit and that didn't fit. Like I zigzagged all over the place trying to find my thing. And every time I made a move or every time I had a new beginning, the feeling for me was always like, oh, okay, clean slate. Like,
yeah,
fresh start. I can now embody, this elevated version of myself or this new identity or something.
Yeah.
But why do we expect new beginnings to feel that way? Like feel clean and clear and
Yeah, I trace it to movement, because whenever we feel stuck, it feels like we're not embracing life, we're not moving anywhere. And so as soon as we do anything that makes us feel like we're moving, I think that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good, even if it's only baby steps. It
Yeah.
feels like we're moving. And movement is creative usually, and it's taking
Yeah.
us to a new place, right?
Yeah.
Even walking the dog every day. I mean, if I'm stuck at my computer for a morning or an afternoon, as soon as we go out to walk the dog, I just feel like $1,000,000 because I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's what it is for me.
That's interesting because I talk a lot about clarity in my work, right? I think a lot of folks come to me for career clarity, right?
Relief from confusion,
Yeah.
right?
But yes, and I think clarity comes with movement,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
The wind through your hair.
yeah, and just even the proverbial movement, like making a move.
Yeah.
Like more clarity will come versus just staying stuck and stewing and overthinking and overanalyzing and
Snacking and
yes, no clarity comes from snacking, folks. Don't do it.
Yeah, movement. I think you want relief from confusion. And I honestly, I can say on a daily basis, I get outside with the dog and I feel like a totally different person when I come home.
Mm-hmm.
I do. You know, physically, it does something to our cells or something.
What does slow growth, like I know we don't like slow anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the world feels like it's going at a rapid pace right now.
Except the tomatoes still take a long time to get ripe, you know? You know when you're waiting for a nice tomato and it takes forever to get ripe?
Well, so that's a good point. I mean, nature doesn't move at a rapid pace.
No.
I mean, you don't plant a tomato seed and expect the tomato the next day.
No.
Even when you see the little green tomato on the vine, you know it's still going to be a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does slow growth actually look like in real life?
Well, I think of when I went back to school years ago. After being a classroom teacher, I decided to train for ministry, and
your calling.
Yeah, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing it for. I just knew I had a seed inside me that was yearning to grow, and so I just started one foot in front of the other. And I had people saying to me, why are you going back to school at, you know, such an age? Well, I think I was like 33 or something. I was so old.
But you had a kid.
I had a kid, yeah. But the slow growth for me, and I think when I think about completing a degree, and you did a degree with kids under your feet too.
Yes, I did.
And
I it gives me a little PTSD right now, actually, when you talk about it. I was like, oh God, yeah. I was studying for
exams. Well, Steve's bringing you tea in the middle of your exam.
Yeah.
But I think when you're completing a degree, it's that process that takes you from the beginning to the end, year by year by year. It does a work in you.
Yeah.
It brings you to a new level of competence, of knowledge. And slow growth happens over those years, so that when you look back at year 4 or 5 or whatever, you think, wow, look what I knew when I started and look what I know now.
Right.
And I still don't feel ready to lead a church, but I'm going to do it anyway because they say I'm ready. So
the people told me.
The people told me I was ready, so I need to get out there and
do it. When I walked across the stage and got my magical degree.
Yeah, that's right. They told me I was ready. But I think that's slow growth, because the idea being, it's like the development of the daffodils. You don't bloom overnight, And,
Right.
you know,
So to that point, what do late bloomers understand that early achievers sometimes miss?
what do late bloomers understand?
Yeah.
I think that it's a privilege to um, grow and develop because let's face it, there's a lot of people that pass into the great beyond at too young an age, and they never get a chance to develop who they really are. And so,
I think also what comes with what you're talking about is perspective. Like you said, I just started, right? You didn't know why. You just had the feeling and you followed your gut, your intuition,
yeah,
your calling, which I actually talk about in the book. It was a very pivotal moment for me at 5 or whatever I was. But I think the perspective, like when you're in it and you have a setback or there's a messy middle part or the fear creeps in or you get stuck again, like my client and I were just talking about, you don't have the perspective that it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to, right? But I think what comes with what you're saying is this perspective that, again, like I go back to this idea of like fits and starts, right? But the net result, like if it was a graph, like the net result is a general trend upward or a general trend to it working out, even though the graph kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I don't think anything is straight and smooth. Very few things.
Right, but it's like, but we want it to be that way.
Yeah. Well, because
even me, like,
it's a bit painful the other way.
It totally is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the self-doubt that I've had actually the last few months, I thought I'd nipped self-doubt in the butt years ago, right? Like I did. And then the last few months I've been really in my head, really overthinking and stewing and like, you know, wanting the universe to just give me a darn sign or a darn validation or recognition that it like I'm on the right track. And I know that in a few years when I look back, you know, we'll laugh and we'll be like, oh, you were fine.
Yeah.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But when you're in it,
it's tough. It's tough.
How has your relationship with starting changed over the years? Like, I've always seen you as someone that's been pretty brave. Like, it was pretty brave to get a divorce in the 80s. Like, that wasn't as common as it is now. So that took some bravery. And starting a whole new career when being a teacher was a good career for a woman. Right? It was acceptable.
What? Because you're on holidays when your kids are on holidays. That's what my dad said.
But how has your relationship changed with starting? Like, how has that changed over the years? Is it easier?
I think for me, and this is, Jim and I, my husband, are usually on a different trajectory, maybe is the word, or pace. I don't know what the correct word is, but he's more reflective. He's more analytical.
Yes.
In order to begin something, because he's a pilot, he has to analyze all the outcomes. All the outcomes, even the ones nobody knew about. Whereas I don't know whether it's my ignorance or I don't know what, but if I get an instinct about doing something, I just up and do it. I don't ever believe that it's not going to be okay or that it's not going to work out. Because I guess my faith is that if Spirit gives me guidance and I act on that, then I feel supported in that, and I never have a doubt that it's
Like if
not
it's
gonna
coming,
work.
if the idea is coming to you, it's meant for you.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah. And I always
Mhm.
say to Jim, "Oh, it'll be easy. It'll be fine." And he'll go, "No, it's not. It's this or." And I'll take an example. We were putting some parquet flooring down years ago on a deck, an outside deck, and IKEA sells these prefab squares of flooring.
Okay. Like they
Clip,
in
snap,
or
and
whatever.
click.
Yeah, yeah.
I said to Jim, "Oh, it'll be so easy. We'll snap and click and put the floor down in a heartbeat." I said, "An afternoon, it'll be fine."
Yeah.
Well, of course, he said, "No, it's not that easy. You have to trim and cut and shape." And I said, "Oh, no, it's not that complicated." Anyway, he was right. I was wrong. And it took us, I don't know, a week or something.
And a marital dispute.
And a marital dispute to boot. But but I think that when we believe something is easy or is going to work out, there's nothing wrong with that, even if it does produce struggles along the way,
right.
or unexpected setbacks.
Yeah, setbacks. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with believing, having faith that it's right and that you're going to make it work, because our floor looked great when it was done. It just took a little more work than I thought it did.
So is there anything that you wish you'd started sooner? Or perhaps like something that you're glad you waited on? Like is there a pivot or a change? Like is there something you wish you'd started sooner?
I don't think so, because I have this personality that if it comes to me and I feel it, then
it's meant for you.
then it's meant for me, and I act on it. And I mean, like, there's always slow downs and setbacks and complications that you didn't know about, but you know, you handle it along the way, I guess, is how I kind of go for it that way. I'm not afraid to start new things. I'm not afraid to step into something new, because if it proves to be overwhelming or impossible, then I give myself permission to quit.
And regroup.
And regroup. Yeah. Because what have you lost?
Yeah. And I think there's some version of a saying that's like the best time to start was back then, and the next best time to start is now, but you know, messy and imperfect. Like we're saying, it doesn't have to be perfect to start. You just start.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I have to say I have experienced, I don't want to say suffer from because that's not the right language, but procrastination has been the bane of, you know, my existence for a while. I do think it is
Overwhelm.
Yeah, and it is kind of linked to ADHD actually. There's some evidence that I don't want to get into the ADHD talk. That's not why we're here, but the procrastination thing for me, and it can look like I don't want to make light of it, but it can look like paralysis. Like so to your point, I get the intuition and the gut feeling and the like, you know,
yeah,
this needs to happen. And then I will often get paralyzed, or like I'll get into procrastination mode. And I had a counselor, I was doing some ADHD talking through some of that, and I had a counselor say like it's almost like you need the dopamine that comes from the sense of urgency. Like if I've procrastinated like a work assignment or like a report that needed to be put in, or like a school assignment when I was doing my MBA, and you know, you see the ticker, like the clock running down, and you're like, shit, I need to get this thing uploaded, you know. And this counselor was saying it's almost like you're waiting for the dopamine rush or that little hit of dopamine that comes in those moments when it's urgent.
Yeah.
And but what does procrastination look like for you?
Well, I think if it's something unpleasant,
Like cleaning the bathroom.
well, yeah, I mean, I just don't clean bathrooms.
That is not something I do anymore.
If my husband doesn't do it, then I farm it out. So, but yeah, what was the question?
Well, what does procrastination?
How does it translate
Or
for
like,
me?
yeah, like how does it look for you? Does it look like a shame spiral, like it looks like for me?
Procrastination means putting something off that's unpleasant. Is it?
Yeah, like
Putting something off that you don't want to do.
Yeah, or like I'll start this when, or I'll do, when this happens, then I'll do that, or
yeah. I mean, there's very little that I procrastinate about now because my life is at a point where I really enjoy mostly everything I do, and I might procrastinate walking the dog if it's a blinding blizzard. But then, of course, she has to pee, so then I have to do something and get her out, and I have to go out. So, but yeah, I think.
So is that the season that you're in?
I think so. I think so because I like the things I'm doing. I like the people I'm seeing, and so there's no kind of you know, reluctance, I guess, is what we're talking about. Reluctance to move into something. And plus, because I'm a conflict resolution facilitator.
Say that 10 times fast.
I know. I've put my big wellies on so many times and waded into a mucky swamp of horrible feelings. I think I've seen it all. And I think I've felt it all. And so I think I'm at the envious place of saying, I don't think there's anything that would surprise me or would stop me from, say, having a difficult conversation, perhaps. Or, yeah.
So I love that perspective that there is a season of our lives when this albatross of procrastination doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of something that I would procrastinate about. Maybe some days I spend too much time over my coffee in a nightgown, but I don't think that's
thing.
That's not procrastination. I think it's just I'm enjoying the freedom of my life right now that I can do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Has there been a time when you've waited too long on something, or waited, like, or talked yourself out of something, perhaps?
Yeah. When we had that property beside our cottage that we built another cottage on, and we built the cottage with the idea that we would sell it. We always had planned to sell it, and after it got completed, the rental market, Airbnbs were exploding, and so I said to Jim, we should rent this place and then have the evergreen, the evergreen income.
Yeah.
And we were on different places about it because, he was done up to here with.
It's fair. He built a cottage with his bare hands.
And so he was kind of over it, and
you think?
And he didn't want to even enter into a conversation about how we would turn it into a rental property. So, um, what was the question?
Is there been a time where you've talked yourself out of
Yeah,
something?
yeah. So in that instance, what I want to say is that I know that if I had persisted and said to Jim, "No, I believe that we should have the Airbnb," he wouldn't have put up a stink, but he would have probably said, "We'll have to farm out the whatever the chores and the tasks would be," because he was over it. He didn't want to do it. Um, but um, I sort of caved, I guess, or I kind of said, okay, that's where you're at. Then we'll sell it.
Mm-hmm. You kind of talked yourself out
I
of it.
talked myself out of what I knew. What I know now would have been a fabulous thing to have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I talked myself out of it, and I regret that. But I was putting myself where he was, and I was hearing what he had to say about his fatigue, and quite frankly, I doubted myself a little bit, because I thought, I've never done any of this. I've got to figure out how to get a dock for the thing and winterize it and do this, because he didn't want any to do with any of that.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, I think I talked myself out of something that I regret, because I could see now where it would be a really nice thing to have, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, as we're talking about new beginnings and, you know, renewal, reinvention, whatever, you know, sort of word resonates, but there are some traps that you can fall into, and this kind of illustrates one of them is the, you know, the compromise trap, or the talking yourself out of it trap.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
We talked a little bit about the trap, the when then trap, right? So it's like a cycle of like, well, when this happens, then I'll do that, or when my boss leaves, then I'll leave, or when this merger's done, then I'll quit, right? I hear that one a lot from clients, like, when the conditions are satisfied, then I'll make a move, right? They're miserable in their job. They hate what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they're waiting for the conditions to feel right to make the move, right? So there are some traps that we can fall into that prevent reinvention or prevent renewal or growth, right? Another one is fear disguised as fill in the blank. Research, right? Preparation, due diligence,
delay,
right? So, you know, you're I've got to be responsible. I hear that a lot from clients too. Like, I have obligations, because a lot of my clients are mid to late career, and so they have this yearning inside them to do something more or to do something different, but that sense of responsibility sets in, right? That sense of obligation. Well, I can't possibly, because Johnny's going off to school, or we've got to do the reno, or we've got a roof to fix. And so it's like that delay, like, I'm going to delay my own joy and fulfillment.
And possibly destiny,
right? I'm going to delay that until the conditions are right, or I need to do more research, or I have this other obligation, right? So does any of that resonate for you? Like those traps that we fall into that prevent reinvention?
Yeah. And if you do live with a partner and they are your financial, or you're a financial partnership as well as a personal partnership, I think in my case, and this could be generational for me, because I was raised by a 50s mom, stay-at-home mom, who did not work outside the home. So I was straddling, you know, that generation with your generation, who don't even think about not having a career. And
Yes.
so I think that that affects people of my generation because we were in between those two things. So some of us worked and some of us didn't.
Right.
And
Yeah, like as you're saying that, I think most of my friends' moms worked. Like I can't think of growing up. Like I can't think of anybody that was like a
that stayed
true
at home.
like stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Right.
Like Grammy was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like took it as a profession. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
listen, let's be clear. I think it's still the case that a lot of moms and women do the heavier lift.
Yeah.
In terms of the chores and the
Yeah.
like it's not truly equitable yet, I don't think. But I can't think of any of my friends whose moms were a true
At home.
homemaker. Like
Right.
that was their job. It was just
That's
a thing they did on top of.
Yeah. And that's probably the case, but all the while that you're in your career, you're also worried about meeting the grade for the home front
Yeah.
and carrying the home front. And I think one of the things that plays into that thing, if you are partnered in
Mhm.
whatever fashion that happens, in my generation, it was always the that the decision making had to be together. It had to
Mhm.
be, well, if you want it, then we'll do that because we can't do something different. And I think the script was always, and so I'm thinking of this cottage situation. Um, Jim was finished when he built it and didn't want to carry on with any kind of rental issue. and and so I mentally couldn't conceive of going. I mean, he, not that he told me I couldn't, but I couldn't.
God forbid.
I know.
He would never. He wouldn't dare.
But I couldn't conceive of going forward with that on my own. Well, of course, probably he would have jumped in and, you know.
You think?
Um, but he was on a different plate,
Yeah.
on a different page, and so my generation, I think, typically attempts to be on the same page with their partner. And it wasn't as acceptable as it is now for partners to say, well, I really want to do this, so I'm going to do this, and I want to do that, and we're still together, we're still living life, but we don't have to be on the same page.
Right.
So that affects, I think, some people too.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit more about this inner knowing that you're talking about, this inner trust, and how that plays into this. I think perhaps I'm Gen X, as we've talked about, and you're a boomer. And I think in our society, our generations certainly, and I don't know if it's the case for the millennials or the Z's, Gen Z.
I don't even know what that is.
They're the 20s somethings,
Okay.
the Gen Z's. But there's a difference between inner trust and the external like permission seeking, right? So I think our generations have looked externally, right, for validation in titles or in roles or in accomplishments, or like our external successes were the validation points or the right. And so what I'm finding with mid to late career, professionals that I'm working with is like they've almost like farmed out their inner compass, like to the titles, to the approval, to the certainty, versus really trusting and knowing, and you're very good at that, because I think your faith maybe is contributes to it. But like talk to me about that inner compass versus the external validation. Like, because I think this contributes to keeping stuck or staying stuck.
Yeah.
Right? If you're looking externally for the validation through those external mechanisms and not trusting yourself or not trusting that inner compass, what was my question now? I've just lost my train of thought.
Well, I think you're getting at how to trust your own leading,
Yeah,
versus slapping on a bunch of degrees and feeling confident from that.
mm-hmm.
I mean, because both work. I think both work. But your inner compass is always going to guide you to the right thing. Always.
Yeah, and that's hard for some people to believe, right? That your inner knowing is
the thing.
Is the thing, right?
It is the thing.
The wisdom.
Yeah.
Which matches spring energy, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot happens internally.
Yeah.
Under the ground, under the surface.
In winter.
Before it emerges, right, to the surface. Like that spring energy is inherently internal.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like before it's visible on the outside. So then whose permission, like we're talking a little bit about permission then, in the case of the cottage, you were sort of seeking Jim's permission, but that might have been more of a compromise.
Yeah, I think what I was seeking was more of a blessing on the idea.
Yeah.
So that we could both be on the same page, you know. And he was frankly exhausted from the build.
Yeah.
And he just needed a break.
Yeah.
So I regret that I didn't say, lovely, you're in your place, you rest, get better. I'm going to go ahead. He wasn't preventing me from going ahead. He just didn't have the energy to
help you.
And what I didn't use was my own resources in terms of, well, I can source out somebody to build a dock and somebody to close it up and somebody to do this and that. And I said to myself, well, I can't do all that stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, so that is a bit of a regret that I have, that I didn't.
Well, and I think especially for you, who's someone who's like, always, for the most part, like trusted your gut and moved forward anyway, right?
Yeah.
And you aren't really someone who's needed someone else to tell them it's okay.
No.
Right?
No.
So, but I think for our audience, I think there's a lot of folks out there, career pivoters and career changers and people that are in different seasons of their life who are waiting for someone to tell them it's okay. What would you say to those people? If you're out there waiting for permission, or you're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay, what would you say to our viewers that are waiting for someone else to tell them it's okay, or waiting for permission, or waiting for that external approval versus trusting their inner validation? Like, what would you say to those people that are waiting?
Well, I think my life is, from instances like we just talked about, I think my life has shown me that it's not the things we do that we regret. It's the things we don't do.
Mm-hmm.
The things we don't do, we will regret.
Right.
And the things we do, we might find out they're not right for us, or we might find out that it wasn't as exciting or fulfilling as we thought it would be. but we won't have regrets that we didn't try,
Woohoo!
right?
Yeah.
Like, we will never regret the things we try, even if they're wrong. If they turn out to be, well, not wrong, but if they turn out to be not a good fit or not the right time or whatever they turn out to be, to take the step and try, we will never regret that.
Yeah.
I mean, never.
Right. Yeah. And if we're subscribing to the idea of destiny or a calling
Yeah.
or the thing you were meant to do, if we're subscribing to that idea, then you don't need permission to become who you are, because you already are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that might sound a little trite, but like, it's already inside you. You don't have to.
The seed is always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
the seed is always there.
It's there. It's our job to tap into our inner wisdom or tap into that inner knowing or that inner trust.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually need permission to become who you already are.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what would you say to those people that are still in the fear, or still in the maybe they're not necessarily waiting for permission, but they're in the fear, or they're stuck in the that when then, like they're waiting for certain conditions. Like, what would you say to those people?
Well, I think I listened to a preacher years ago, and I still from time to time listen to her, Joyce Meyer, and she's a very practical preacher, and she entitles everything she does by calling it enjoying everyday life. So
nice.
her theme is enjoying everyday life, and every sermon she preaches, everything that comes out of her mouth guides people to enjoyment of their life. That's it for her. That's as simple as it gets. She's completely unschooled by formal education. She has no formal education, and rose up from a call that she had from her inner compass that led her into the work. And she learned as she went along.
Cool.
And she's powerful. So I think, so your question was
well, what would you say to people that are in the fear, like they're stuck in, they're maybe not waiting for permission, maybe they're just stuck,
afraid of the consequences or something? Well, so again, Joyce has an acronym that she speaks about many, many times. The word fear is false evidence appearing real.
Ooh.
So she says,
I like that.
Fear is nothing more than false evidence appearing real. So you look out there and you find all those things that appear to be things that would block you or stop you. It's false evidence appearing real. Because when you actually take the step or you take the action, there is no reason why you shouldn't do it. Right?
If it's aligned for you, right? Like, I think that's the biggest message that I have for my clients is there has to be this sense of alignment.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's so important to listen to your inner knowing or your inner wisdom or compass, whatever you want to say. What about those folks that might be of your vintage or your
like a red wine,
or maybe they're a little younger than you, but they're feeling like it's too late, like they've missed the boat, they might as well just stick it out now because fuck, it's I'm already this Like I've already
Yeah.
like invested this much time into
Yeah.
it. Like I had a call with a guy not too long ago. He's a lawyer and been a lawyer for 30 years or something. And he's like, I'm just, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to change now? Sort of thing. Or like, what would you say to those people that are feeling like it's too late?
Yeah, I mean,
Like their best years are behind them.
I don't relate to that in any way, and I'm probably unusual because I'm always looking for the next thing. I'm always open to what, like, life is an ever and never ending smorgasbord, and I'm always ready to belly up to the table. I don't know.
Belly up to the bar.
I just feel like no matter what I'm doing, um, if an opportunity comes along that's enticing, I just want to step into it and give it a try because I mean, life is short, right? You want to try everything you can.
Yeah, so maybe that's the message. Like life is short.
Yeah.
Like we one of my friends says like we only have one go in this skin suit.
Yeah.
Becca says that all the time. She's like we're only in these skin suits for like one go.
Or maybe not.
So
who knows?
But you know, why wait? Like it or why put it off? Or right? If it's coming to you, it's coming to you for a reason.
Yeah.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
We've talked about this idea of trusting your inner knowing, your inner compass. And if you feel like the best years are behind you or it's too late,
Yeah.
I don't know, get over that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, I'm connected to the United Church, and it's in a decline.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a season of a decade actually, which the church is calling towards 2035, and in 2035, statistics are showing that there will be 60% less United Churches across Canada.
Oh.
So 60% is a lot. And so the next decade is about doing everything that can be done in terms of collaboration, teaming, matching churches that can work together. We have a terrible shortage of ministry personnel, and
Re-engaging young families.
Re-engaging young families. So if any of you out there want to be a minister, there's lots of jobs.
If that is your calling,
if that's your calling,
give us a call. Drop a note in the comments.
But there are careers like ministry that give you a scope for a lot of different things. I mean, I've been a counselor, mediator, conflict resolution facilitator, all kinds of things that you can do within the scope of that. And
right,
they need people. So I'm just putting that out there.
Just a little plug for the United Church of Canada.
Yeah, but I think because it's a lifelong learning profession, it fosters that idea that we're never finished, right?
Yeah.
We're never finished. We've always got opportunities. We've always got challenges we can take up and exciting things to do and be, which is the essence of life, right?
Yeah. That's
where life is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a good place to kind of segue into our closing. I mean, I would like to leave us with a few practical applications or a few practical tools. So the first one I would offer, we talked about this at the beginning, is the messy start. So starting when it's imperfect. Like I know for me, this blessed thing sat on the shelf for a few years after it was actually written. A little bit of procrastination, a little bit of fear, a little bit of waiting for the right conditions, you know, and writing all of that, like all of the things. And so I would offer start imperfect. Start anyway. Start so let's call it the messy start. But I would offer to you viewers, pick one thing, maybe in the next week, but pick one thing that you've been overthinking, overanalyzing, procrastinating, and take one imperfect step forward. Does that
sounds awesome?
Sound like a good strategy?
Yeah.
So the messy start. Like, don't worry if you fall flat on your face. Don't worry if it fails. Don't worry if it doesn't land. But like, start anyway. One imperfect step.
I started graduate school in the middle of a divorce.
An imperfect step. A messy step, maybe.
No money.
Messier still.
And a child.
So the messy start. That's sort of practical tip number 1, the messy start. Practical tip number 2 is the fear audit. Now, I love if you could repeat what Joyce Meyer says the fear acronym is. What's that?
False evidence appearing real.
Okay. So I would offer for practical tip number 2, do an audit of where the fear is. Like, if you're really thinking about a pivot or a renewal or a reinvention, a reimagining, not just your career, of any aspect of your life. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your partner that's driving you bananas, and you just know when you get out from under that toxic relationship, you're going to thrive on the other side, right? So whether it's a career that needs to be reimagined or a relationship that has to be reinvented, whatever it is, write down what you're afraid will happen if you make the change. So just audit where you're at. No judgment, but just write down where the fear is. Like, what is the fear, really?
Yeah.
You know, and then ask yourself if that's real, right? To Joyce's point, is it real? Like,
false
what
evidence appearing real.
Right? What's actually gonna happen?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think for me, and perhaps it was ignorance that I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how difficult it would be and challenging, but I did it anyway. And I think, I don't know, I just feel like the rewards are so great when you challenge yourself and you move into something as you're doing that is learning and growing every single day without fail. I used to think, God, give me a day where I don't have to struggle over something, right?
Yeah.
Give me a day. And I never got the day, ever, until now.
Now it's just smooth sailing in this.
Not totally, but
this decade or
it
this
is
season.
it is a fun season, I have to say. It really is.
I don't want to will myself to get there faster than I need to, but
no, but there is some relief, if you want to say, because you've at your age and stage, you've also got kids to raise, and you're worried about all the things your kids are worried about, right?
Yeah. I like that word relief. Like, I think there's a lot of relief that comes with taking the step forward, making the move, starting.
There is.
Right? There's relief in that.
Relief. Yeah.
Right? My clients actually, I do what's called a career clarity call.
Yeah. Before
they join my coaching program.
That's awesome.
And the call usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour, because we really get deep in terms of like where they're stuck and what's not working and what the game plan is, And the clients, when they are brave enough to take that step forward and get into coaching, they feel an enormous sense of relief. That's
Do
what
they
they
say that?
Yeah.
Wow.
That just giving themselves that gift
Right.
of accountability and
Yeah.
support and guidance.
Yeah.
Right? There's an enormous amount of relief that
That's
comes
so awesome.
when they take a stand for themselves.
Right.
You know, when
Yeah.
it's like enough's
Yeah.
enough. Like
Yeah.
I only have one life on this planet,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make the most of it, and
Yeah.
be damned if I'm going to stay stuck forever. And they feel an enormous amount of relief when they.
Do you see any difference in the genders in that regard?
Women typically, what I see is that women have a harder time prioritizing themselves in this way. It is a bit of a heavier lift to not that I'm trying to convince anybody, but because I'm here, open, available, and offering to hold the space for people. But I think for whatever reason, and this is a whole gender conversation we can get into another time, but I think men are maybe conditioned
to be more selfish.
Yeah, maybe.
Erase.
Edit that out. But I think women aren't good at asking for help.
Right.
Typically.
Yeah.
We're not good at receiving help.
Yeah.
We're not good at prioritizing ourselves. We're typically not good at putting our needs before others. And so, to answer your question, I do see it being a little easier for men to say yes to themselves. In terms of the coaching, like, yes, I'm going to get the coaching, I'm going to get the help, I'm going to, you know.
Yeah.
Women are a little
spend
bit
the
more,
money.
Yeah, spend the money. Invest in themselves.
Right.
Because there's a huge ROI on this, right?
Yeah,
like
there
you
is.
invest in your career development and you get the career coaching and you get the support and the guidance, it pays dividends.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think men see that more clearly, and or they're conditioned to know that more inherently.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested on your perspective. You can drop a comment in the comment section.
Yeah.
So there was I wanted to give 3 practical tips in our, and so we've done 2.
Messy start.
Fear audit. And the third one is permission slip. So, I don't know if anyone knows what a permission slip is, but like in my day, I had to have a permission slip to like leave class early or to, right? So it's like it's someone else is giving you permission to do something. But I want you to write yourself one. So write yourself a permission slip. And it's literally like, I give myself permission to begin before I'm ready. Or I give myself permission to take a step forward. Or I give myself permission to start scared. So those are the 3 practical tips that I would suggest moving forward in the next week. Do 1 or all 3 of those, either the messy start, the fear audit, or the permission slip. And if anything that we discussed today resonates, please reach out. That's another sort of call to action, if you will, because remember, clarity comes with movement, clarity comes with action. And if you've been sitting with something for a while, if you've been feeling any of what we've been talking about, that you've got something inside you, you want to reinvent, you want to reimagine, you want to reinvigorate, now is the season, right, to really capitalize on the spring energy and reach out for help. I'm here for you. Mom's here in a different capacity. She counsels and mediates and all of that. So, certainly reach out. And I want to close with, to bring it back to our spring season, because, spring doesn't ask for permission. Spring doesn't wait to appear. Spring doesn't ask permission to arrive. It just does, right? Spring just happens.
Growth happens.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Slowly, quietly. Sometimes in these fits and starts, right? They poke their heads out. Then there's a frost, so they kind of die back down again, right? And then it warms up, and there's a thaw. And so spring doesn't ask permission. It doesn't stop itself if it fails. It doesn't,
if it fails,
right? Like it happens anyway. So whatever new beginning is stirring inside of you, I would offer to, it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need permission. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to start. You just need to take action and, move anyway. Move scared, move imperfect, move messy. And we will be back next month talking about purpose, not necessarily as a fixed destination or fixed point, but as something that we can embody as we continue in this season of our lives, in this season of spring and growth. Is there anything I've forgotten? Anything I missed?
No, I don't think so. But as you were talking, what occurred to me was that growth happens whether we want it to or not.
Yeah.
Right? Like in spring, it doesn't matter how many frosts come, growth happens anyway.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
So until next time, take good care. And if you are feeling called, begin.